It's a rainy morning here in Bangalore, but we are back again with yet another episode of Marketing for Founders. I am Suraj Divakaran, the founder of Digital Uncovered.
Like Suraj said, it is indeed great to see mango showers towards the end of April in Bangalore. Today, we bring to you yet another episode of Marketing for Founders, and my name is Ajish Venugopalan. I'm the founder and CEO for AJNBG Media. What are we going to talk today? The importance of learning culture for founders and marketeers. Understanding popular culture is key. Let's try and figure out why.
One of the aspects of marketing that keeps marketeers really awake at night is, do we really understand the popular culture? How has the popular culture in India evolved over the years? When I started my career a decade ago, this is one of those questions that really bothered me. It even does now, right? So how is India different from any other market in the world as far as marketing is concerned and as far as understanding of popular culture goes? So one of the aspects that you have to understand about India is that India is fundamentally a trust deficit market, right? If you are a startup, if you are a company which is just starting off, right, it takes time to build trust and credibility. And once you build trust and credibility, you can sell anything from salt to semiconductors to people, right? Which is what companies like Tata Group and Birlas and Reliance and Adani's and other companies have managed to do in India.
Let's try and understand why India primarily is a trust deficit market. Not just India, in context to the global scenario, the entire 7.2 billion people are divided, and they're divided by contributing factors like religion, language, color, customs and taboos, values, their social structure, and so on. But why is it important for a founder or a marketeer to learn culture? Because culture primarily determines the buying habits of the end consumers. So if there are companies from abroad who's looking at India as a potential market, it's very important for them, both the founders as well as the marketeers, to understand Indian culture. And likewise, for Indian companies who are trying to expand to foreign countries, it's very important for them to understand their culture as well.
Growing up back in 90s and early 2000s, I remember my mom used to go to the vegetable store, and she would always look for a good bargain in the vegetable market, right? Sometimes you would get a discount on the pricing, but when you wouldn't get a discount on the pricing, what you would do is you will negotiate for some freebie, which is usually the masala thrown in for free, which is chilies, coriander, lemon and all of that, right? So as a market, we've always been value conscious, right? If you look at the last two or three decades, we've always been value conscious. We're slowly moving from being value conscious to brand conscious now, right? If you are buying something that is a necessity and that is something that is important, right? Like healthcare, for instance, you wouldn't want to compromise on the hospital that you go to, right? But as far as discretionary spending is concerned, you're always value conscious. Even look at the budget smartphone that is sold in India. You don't think about the brand, right? In India, you are looking for the best deal or the best bargain that you can get, right? So we are slowly moving from being value conscious to brand conscious. What also differentiates Indian consumer is that while we are value conscious and we are brand conscious, we're also very pampered, right? So if you are a consumer in US, what you do is you want to buy your groceries, you go to Walmart and you buy the grocery for the entire month, load it in your trunk and go and put that into your garage. What happens in India is that you're buying in small quantities. And why is that so? When you go to the supermarket, it's not just that you're buying groceries. It's sort of a recreational activity for you. You will usually have a pani puri wala who's outside the supermarket. So it's a recreational activity for you. You buy a limited number of groceries. You have a gala time outside the supermarket where you have a pani puri wala or a chai wala from where you buy the chai, and you head back home. Now these are patterns which are very unique for India, and these patterns don't exist anywhere else.
India's growth story begins in the early 90s with the liberalization policy brought in by the then government in the year 1991. From what Suraj said, India has been a value-conscious market for a long time, but it has been slowly changing and evolving. And what are the key factors that one should look at as a marketer or as a founder that you should look at is the GDP per state in each state in this country, or what is the per capita GDP in this country? What are the literacy rates in each state in this particular country? These are factors which will help you understand each of these markets individually. Let me give you a quick example. In the 90s, the first car preferred by the Indians were Maruti Suzuki, which is value for money. So we were very, very value conscious then. But today, with the growth that we have projected over the last 3 decades, you will see that people have been shifting to a Hyundai, and from probably a Hyundai, we've been shifting to an MG Hector, a Mercedes, an Audi, or a BMW sort of cars as well in the automotive sector. But let me give you another example wherein earlier when we used to buy a bottle of shampoo in a city, for the villagers, we introduced a 1 rupee shampoo sachet or a 2 rupee sachet, which probably supported the economic conditions of the rural India. I remember attending a class by Dr. C.K. Prahalad, wherein he introduced us to a case study where they sold ice creams for 1 rupee in the rural market. The rural and the urban markets in India are way too different. And for me to conclude, India has got the most beautiful socioeconomic classification. And probably we will do another episode on socioeconomic classification of India as well. But this is not very different for other countries across the globe, which we will come back to it.
So as a founder or as an entrepreneur, how do you understand popular culture, or how do you decipher popular culture? There are two aspects that you should really focus on as an entrepreneur or as a founder. The first is to understand all the micro and macro trends. What is currently happening in the market? There are talks of cancel culture, there are talks of wokeness or woke culture, right? There are so many micro and macro trends that are happening all around. Why do you need to understand this? Because as entrepreneurs or as founders, your brand is going to create a lot of content. By understanding these micro or macro trends, you will be able to leverage some of these micro and macro trends to build content around it, or rather you would choose to avoid being part of some of these micro and macro trends, right? Unless and until you are a brand which takes a stand on issues. And the content that you are going to create then would sort of align with the worldview that your consumer has, right? If you're going to say something contrarian to what your consumers are thinking in their mind, they might not agree with what you're saying. So therefore, it is very, very important to understand micro and macro trends. The second aspect that you have to really focus on is to talk to your consumers. And when I'm referring to talk to your consumers, I'm not talking of focus group discussions and the other research methods that are available out there. What really makes a difference is when you eavesdrop into a discussion. So one of the stories that I've heard of is of Suman Manglekar, who was a very senior executive at Tata Motors, and how he used to sit at dhabas so that he could have a conversation with truck drivers who were using Tata trucks, right? And that gave him insights on how they can build better products, because the consumer might not be telling a lot of things. There might be a lot of experiences that they might have with the product that they might not be sharing with you. So it is very, very important to talk to consumers and incorporate some of those insights into the products and services that you're going to build.
Adding to what Suraj said on founders having a global view, let me further add a bit of insights into it. Geopolitical scenarios are very, very important for founders and marketers equally. Just to quote a few examples, there was an advertisement by Tanishq which recently got banned, or they were forced to rather withdraw it. The ad projected a Hindu woman marrying a Muslim man, and they were trying to gift the gold. The ad was withdrawn because of the current geopolitical scenario in this country. Similarly, if you look at an ad by AU Small Finance Bank, where we talk about a Ghar Jamai concept, that ad was as well forced to be withdrawn from the market. Giving you a global example, India recently banned a lot of Chinese apps. So it's very, very important for all the founders out there and all the marketeers out there to have a global view on culture and the geopolitical scenario. And this helps in creating or crafting your content in the right way. Remember, content is the king. With this, we come to a conclusion of this episode of Marketing for Founders. We will be back again with exciting topics to discuss on marketing for founders. This is Ajish Venugopalan, the founder of AJ and VG Media, signing off.
This is Suraj Divakaran, founder of Digital Uncovered, signing off.